So most Hollywood romances that are born on a movie set, they're basically absolute public relations nightmares.
Oh, completely. Total nightmares.
Right. I mean, they distract from the actual film, they annoy the studio executives who are just trying to market the project, and honestly, they usually burn out long before the premiere even happens.
Yeah, you see it all the time. The press tour hits, and they can barely stand to be in the same room.
Exactly. But what if a highly publicized relationship didn't sink a movie's reputation? What if instead it kind of acted as this massive force multiplier, one that secured two actors the absolute highest awards of their entire careers, only to just quietly, almost surgically dissolve the second the cameras stopped rolling? So let's unpack this.
And that is the incredibly rare anomaly we're exploring today, because the mechanics of how this specific relationship operated behind the scenes and how it was ultimately dismantled, it can tell us more about the realities of the modern entertainment industry than, well, almost any other recent case study I can think of.
It really is fascinating. Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at the recent, very significant news that pop superstar Ariana Grande and Broadway alum Ethan Slater have ended their relationship. And they were together for nearly 3 years.
Which is a lifetime in Hollywood.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've got the latest detailed reports from the BBC, as well as some really in-depth coverage from People magazine that maps out this entire era. So today, our mission on this deep dive is to break this news down specifically for you, the fans of pop culture and cinema.
Right.
We are going to chronologically map out their incredibly dense timeline. We'll compare the massive career milestones they both hit side by side during this period, and we'll look at exactly what is next for both of these stars.
And you know, what's fascinating here is that to truly understand this, we have to look entirely past the tabloid headlines. I mean, we're dissecting the timeline of two artists whose personal and professional lives became inextricably intertwined.
Completely tangled up.
Exactly. Entangled during the grueling production and then the massive global promotion of a major Hollywood franchise.
Right. And to really grasp the sheer scale of that, we have to wind the clocks back to 2023. Because this is when the connection first began. They met on the set of the modern film adaptation of the stage musical Wicked.
Over in the UK?
Yes, shooting over in the UK.
Yeah.
We have Grande stepping into the culturally massive shoes of Glinda the Good Witch. And we have Slater playing the ensemble role of Bach Woodsman.
And you really have to consider the environment they were stepping into here, because this wasn't like an independent indie film shooting for 3 weeks in a quiet town.
Right, no.
This is a massive, highly anticipated Universal Pictures machine. You were talking about incredibly long 14-hour days on set.
Oh, wow.
Complex vocal and physical performances, and just the constant looming pressure of fan expectations. They were deeply immersed in these fantastical roles, thousands of miles from their homes in the U.S.
There's basically an absolute pressure cooker.
Absolutely.
And while they're building this new connection on set, they are simultaneously navigating some incredibly heavy personal transitions off screen. I mean, according to the reporting from both the BBC and People magazine, both stars finalized divorces from their former partners during this shared time together in the UK.
Which is a crucial detail to analyze, because it really sets the psychological baseline for their entire dynamic.
How so?
Well, going through a divorce is an intensely vulnerable, difficult process for anyone, right? It requires immense emotional processing. You're navigating complex legal hurdles.
Right. The lawyers, the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. So to go through that process while starring in a franchise of this scale, under the watchful, critical eye of the global press,
Oh, man.
all while living out of a hotel or a rental in a different country. It creates a very specific, isolated kind of shared reality. I mean, they were weathering the exact same emotional storm at the exact same time.
I was actually thinking about how to visualize that level of pressure, like managing the vulnerability of a new romance while simultaneously untangling two separate divorces under the lens of the global paparazzi. It's not just trying to build a house of cards.
No, not at all.
It's more like trying to cleanly decouple two complex spacecraft while actively re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Oh, that is a great analogy.
Right, you can't just unlatch and float away. Every micro-movement, every legal filing, it affects the trajectory of a multi-million-dollar machine.
That is a highly accurate way to picture it, because the sheer volume of public attention makes that private connection incredibly volatile. I mean, every time they left the soundstage, every interaction was analyzed by the press.
Which makes me wonder, how does a couple actually function in that airspace? Like, how do you manage that vulnerability when you are contractually obligated to smile through global press tours and walk down red carpets together.
It takes intense compartmentalization.
It must, because by 2024, they took that massive step. They became officially a public entity. They went Instagram official.
Ah, yes. The modern relationship launch.
Right. And I have to be honest, whenever a celebrity at Grande's level does that, it always feels a little, I don't know, manufactured to me. When an artist hits post on a relationship photo, what is actually happening behind the scenes?
Well, you are absolutely right to be skeptical, because in modern celebrity culture, becoming Instagram official is not a spontaneous accident.
It's not just a cute selfie.
No, not at all. It is a highly calculated PR mechanism. It's essentially a corporate launch.
Wow.
It signals to the press, the fans, and the industry that you are ready to face the public phase of the relationship. By controlling the exact image, the caption, the timing, their publicists basically take ownership of the narrative.
So they get ahead of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before the tabloid ecosystem can twist it or weaponize stolen paparazzi photos against them.
So they set the baseline. And from 2024 into 2025, that baseline launched a massive sprint of highly visible shared appearances. We are talking about major red carpet promotional events for the first Wicked film, extensive global press for its sequel, Wicked.
They're good.
They were everywhere.
They really were. And they even attended the 2025 Oscars together. They were front and center. And what is so interesting to me is looking at how fans reacted to their public appearances during these press tours. I mean, you saw it. Fans are hyper-analyzing every single interview.
Oh, the TikToks are endless.
Endless. Tracking their body language on the red carpet, making endless videos about how they looked at each other during press junkets.
But you see, they operated entirely in plain sight. They didn't hide from the scrutiny, they walked directly into it.
Right.
Which is exactly what makes the conclusion of this timeline so staggering from a purely operational standpoint. If we fast forward to the recent reporting in 2026.
The breakup.
Yes. The sources state that they separated quietly in an amicable manner several months ago.
Wait, several months ago. Yes. The reports specifically note that they gave the decision lots of time and careful consideration, decided to go their separate ways, but remain friends who are very supportive of one another.
Okay, I have to pause here, because I know what you're thinking listening to this. How exactly do two A-list stars who just anchored a massive two-part global blockbuster break up quietly for several months?
It's almost unheard of.
Right. In Hollywood, nothing is quiet unless someone is exerting an immense amount of control to keep it that way.
And it requires an unbelievable level of discipline, because the Hollywood machine dictates personal timelines so rigidly. To manage a private separation of this magnitude, you are talking about strict non-disclosure agreements among their inner circle.
NDA on top of NDA.
Exactly. You are talking about carefully timed diversionary tactics by their publicists. It requires both parties to refrain from leaking sympathetic stories to favored publications, just to control the spin.
Nobody playing the victim in the press.
Right. To manage that while still navigating the residual public attention from the wicked. For good press cycle, it requires a level of mutual respect and media savvy that is exceptionally rare.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting though. We need to look at what they were actually achieving professionally while all this intense personal management was happening behind the scenes, because we have to assess the impact of their high-profile status on their professional film reputations.
And the data is pretty clear there.
Yeah, the data shows it didn't sink them at all. They were dominating the award season.
Dominating is exactly the word. The BBC coverage highlights that during this 3-year relationship, Grande reached a genuine, undeniable cinematic peak.
She really did.
She earned an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress for her role as Glinda in the first Wicked movie.
An Oscar nomination. Let's just sit with that for a second. For a mega pop star, pivoting to prestige acting is notoriously difficult. I mean, the industry is inherently skeptical of musicians crossing over, right?
Oh, incredibly skeptical. They make them prove themselves 10 times over.
Exactly. But a Best Supporting Actress nod at the Academy Awards. That is the absolute pinnacle of film acting validation. It completely rewrites how the industry views her capabilities. And meanwhile, you have Slater, who earned a nomination at the Actor Awards, which was formerly known as the Screen Actors Guild Awards.
Right.
He was nominated for Outstanding Performance by a Cast along with the entire Wicked ensemble.
And we really shouldn't forget his professional foundation here either. The reporting reminds us that before this film franchise, he was actually nominated for a Tony Award for his Broadway debut.
Oh wow, I forgot about that. For SpongeBob, right?
Yes, playing SpongeBob SquarePants. So he already had serious theatrical prestige under his belt. He understands the mechanics of high-level performance and critical acclaim.
Right. But I genuinely want to push back on the prevailing industry logic here. Usually, Academy voters hate tabloid distractions. There is this deep-seated belief that if an actor's personal life, especially a relationship that involves high-profile divorces, overshadows the work, voters get fatigued.
They do. They view it as messy.
Yeah, they view it as messy, and they just won't check that box on the ballot.
Yeah.
But I look at this timeline, and that just didn't happen here.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where that force multiplier concept you mentioned earlier comes into play. You are looking at a highly unusual dynamic because they were dating their co-star, every piece of paparazzi coverage, every fan video analyzing their red carpet interactions.
It all fed the machine.
Yes. It continually pointed the public right back to the exact same piece of art. The relationship didn't distract from Wicked. It essentially acted as a massive, continuous advertising campaign for the film during the critical voting window.
That is a brilliant observation, because Slater wasn't showing up to these events as just Ariana Grande's boyfriend. He was actively campaigning for the actor awards alongside the cast. He was in the trenches with her.
Exactly. Playing an ensemble character like Buck usually means an actor risks fading into the background of a massive visual spectacle like this, but his proximity to Grande's star power, combined with his undeniable theatrical talent, it kept him squarely in the spotlight.
It really elevated him.
It is incredibly rare for two artists to reach these specific career peaks. An Oscar nod for her, an actor award cast nod for him, side by side, for the exact same project without one eclipsing the other. Their high-profile status didn't dilute their credibility, it arguably amplified their presence.
So they basically pulled off the impossible. They successfully navigated the divorces, they dominated the awards circuit, they captured the cultural zeitgeist, and then they successfully landed the spacecraft and quietly walked away.
A flawless execution.
So what does this all mean? Especially when we speculate on what they're doing right now in 2026 as their shared past diverges. Because Grande's timeline right now is moving at absolute warp speed.
It really is. It is a profound period of transition for her. We're watching a real-time pivot in how she positions herself in the entertainment landscape.
Yeah, let's talk about the tour.
Right, so just last weekend, she kicked off her long-awaited Eternal Sunshine Tour. And for context, the sources specifically highlight that this is her first tour since 2019, and it comes exactly 3 years after the Eternal Sunshine album was actually released.
3 years. Let's think about the logistics of that for a second. You release a massive pop album, and you don't tour it for 3 entire years.
Yeah.
In modern pop music, that is a literal lifetime.
It's unheard of.
It tells you everything you need to know about how all-consuming the Wicked machine was. Putting a highly lucrative stadium tour on ice for a movie is a massive financial and logistical sacrifice. It completely hijacked her traditional life cycle as a pop star. But, and this is the crazy part, she isn't just touring 3-year-old material right now. Next month, she has a brand new album dropping called Petal.
And the rollout for Petal is exactly why the timing of this quiet breakup announcement is being so heavily scrutinized by the public and the press.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's look at the lead single that preceded the album. It has the incredibly provocative title, Hate That I Made You Love Me.
It's a heavy title.
It's super heavy. I know I'm not the only one feeling a massive disconnect here. I mean, you announce a quiet, amicable breakup, and in the exact same news cycle, you drop a track with a title that implies guilt, betrayal, and frankly, power dynamics. It feels like we are being sold 2 completely different narratives.
It really does.
How are you, as a fan, supposed to reconcile the diplomatic PR statement with the aggressive album marketing?
Well, this raises an important question about the modern artist's playbook, particularly at Grande's tier of fame. You reconcile it by understanding that for these artists, the music is the sanctioned narrative.
Oh, okay.
The PR statement handles the legal and professional obligations, right? It keeps the studios, the brands, and the ex-partners relatively insulated. But the album rollout is where the artist metabolizes the public's curiosity.
They feed the fans.
Exactly. They channel their personal eras, even the messy, transitional ones, into the art, and they actively invite the fans to decode it.
It's highly lucrative vulnerability, basically. The lines between a private reality and public marketing are completely blurred, and honestly, it might be the last time we see it from her in this specific stadium format for a while.
Why is that?
Well, because Grande, who is obviously known for era-defining mega hits like Twilight Zone and Side to Side, has explicitly stated that this current tour is going to be her last for a long time.
Wow. Yeah, the reports actually refer to it as a last hurrah. She is actively closing the book on her traditional pop star touring era, that grueling, endless cycle of planes, arenas, and tour buses.
Right, because she is pivoting hard toward acting. She wants to be taken seriously as an actress, and that Oscar nomination gave her the exact runway she needed to do it. The sources even note that she has a recently announced theater reunion set up with Jonathan Bailey.
Which is an incredibly brilliant, ironic twist when you map out their trajectories.
How so?
Think about it. She is actively stepping out of the pop arena and moving toward the prestige theater and acting world, which is the exact foundation that Ethan Slater came from.
Oh, wow, that's true. She is moving deeply into his territory.
Exactly. And when we look at Slater's future endeavors, while his specific next moves aren't completely detailed in the current reports, his foundation is rock solid.
Yeah, he's fine.
More than fine. His Tony-nominated theater roots and his recent actor award recognition for his ensemble work in Wicked position him perfectly. He has proven to the industry that he can bridge the gap between stage prestige and massive ensemble film success.
He's a known quantity now.
Right. He doesn't need to rely on the tabloid machinery to secure his next role. His cast nomination proves he is immensely valued by his peers.
So they decouple the spacecraft, and they both drift into incredibly successful, albeit very different orbits. To wrap this deep dive up, let's just look at the whole picture. We started with two actors meeting on a soundstage in the UK, stepping into the iconic shoes of Glinda and Bach.
A meeting that evolved into a highly scrutinized, deeply intertwined 3-year partnership.
A partnership defined by intense pressure from day one. I mean, they navigated simultaneous divorces under a microscope. They dominated the global press tours for 2 massive blockbusters. They walked the Oscars red carpet together, and they secured career-defining awards.
And through all that noise, they managed to culminate this era with a mature, coordinated separation that only hit the press when they were good and ready.
It really is a masterclass in navigating the modern fame machine.
It is. But as we close, it leaves you with a final thought I really want you to mull over. The next time you sit down to watch Wicked or its sequel, realize that you aren't just watching a fantasy film.
No.
You are watching a real-time documentary of a real-life bond forming between Glinda and Bach. Even though the romance was only for a season, it fueled both of these actors to some of the highest accolades of their entire lives. What happens to our experience of a movie when the art perfectly, permanently preserves a relationship that has already quietly ended in the real world?
Wow, it fundamentally changes how you watch it. You aren't just looking at the magic of Oz anymore. You're looking at a time capsule of their highest peak, long after the cameras have stopped rolling. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
For more breaking news and daily updates, follow Minute Wire. Like, share, and subscribe to stay informed.